that the way you have is right for you. As long as it's consensual and it's with adults. I know this sounds so cheesy and I hate cheesy, but really, however you get off is how you get off. I mean, I worked with a couple once, they can only get off in a certain way. And they came to me because they thought they should do penetration or they should have it certain be. And we tried. And I said, okay, I'll help you with that. But this might be you. Like anything else might be like conversion therapy.
Hello, everyone. I'm here today with Dr. Joe Kort. He's the clinical director and founder of the Center for Relationship and Sexual Health in Royal Oak, Michigan. He's a board certified clinical sexologist, author of 4 books, lecturer, and facilitator of therapeutic workshops. Welcome, Dr. Joe Kort.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for being here today. So, I want to start out with a really serious question for you. Have you watched Heated Rivalry?
I couldn't get past the second episode. I know people love it. I don't.
I want to hear about it. Okay, what did you not like about it?
I don't know. I think I love that it's 2 men. I love that it's gay. I love that, there's romance and intimacy and sex and all the right stuff that you always see with heterosexual, but not gay. But I don't get into the character. I don't like hockey and it's too slow. I'm like asleep by the midway.
Yeah, totally. I love that. I feel like we could do like a whole analysis on like Heated Rivalry.
I love what it sparked, though. I love its popularity, women watching it, exposing straight women and lesbians who are interested in that, and even straight men that are watching it that are getting kind of aroused by it. I mean, it's an interesting experiment, really.
It really is. Yeah, the show is hot, hot, hot right now. All right, now I want to talk about your origin story. So maybe in about 30 seconds, I want to hear how you found your way into this work and when you realized that this was your specialty.
So I found my way into this work because as a teenager, I went to a therapist for being gay and coming out. And I was 14. It was 1977, a long time ago. I still talk to him. Actually, he's in his 80s. He's not my
Yeah,
therapist anymore, but we're friends.
yeah.
And then I realized I wanted to be in his chair doing what he did. And then I became a regular social worker at LMSW. And then I just realized I was working so much with sexual abuse and trauma. And then over time, I wanted to work with helping people from that go to sexual pleasure and sexual health. And that's how I got here.
Oh, I love it. All right. Now, is there one current trend in sexual health or relationship work that really excites you right now?
I'm going to promote my own trend, which is I'm trying to, get people thinking about Outercourse as opposed to intercourse. And I coined the term side for gay men who don't top and don't bottom. They don't penetrate either way. And I'm actually currently writing a book for everyone around Outercourse and helping straight, gay, men, women, everyone.
I want to know if you could teach the world one essential insight about sexual health, something that could really move the needle, what would that be?
That the way you have is right for you. As long as it's consensual and it's with adults. I know this sounds so cheesy and I hate cheesy, but really, however you get off is how you get off. I mean, I worked with a couple once, they can only get off in a certain way. And they came to me because they thought they should do penetration or they should have it certain be. And we tried. And I said, okay, I'll help you with that. But this might be you. Like anything else might be like conversion therapy. And it really was, turned out. So I want people to know that how you get off, get rid of the shame and embrace it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. Now, after 40 years of practice, what has changed the most in how you work with couples?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Well, the most I would say is asking about sexual health. I never used to do that. And now I think it's unethical not to. What everybody has a sex life, whether you're active or not. But I think I've also changed. I've just gotten better. I've gotten less involved in the problem solving, less interested in their fight and more interested in helping them turn to each other and figure out their own solutions. And they'll always turn to you as a therapist and say, well, what do you think? What is your thoughts on this? How should we proceed? And I always say that's a Joe Kort response. You need a response that's tailored to you.
Now, at Sexual Health Alliance, we train many people who are wanting to work in sexual health and work with people in relationships. So, what's the most important thing professionals need to know in this space?
How to ask the questions. Here's what a lot of therapists will say. Well, I don't ask anything sexual unless they bring it up. And I'll say, well, wait a minute. Do you not ask anything about family of origin unless they bring it up? No, of course not. That's part of the intake and part of the assessment. So should this be. So really asking the questions. And I say to my clients, if you don't want to talk about it, I know I'm a stranger. We're new to each other. You don't have to say it and you don't have to answer anything, but I do want to ask because I'm trained in this and it's
Yeah.
important to ask. Otherwise, they won't know to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. Stay curious, ask questions. All right, now I want to talk a little bit about Imago. So, could you briefly explain to anybody who's new to this concept what is Imago relationship therapy?
I love Imago relationship therapy. I've been doing it since 1994. It saved my marriage. I really believe that without it, we might not have gotten over the hump. Imago is just a Latin word for image, and that you're drawn to familiar love, that you're drawn to partners that possess both the positive and negative traits of your primary caretaker. And you invite and hire this person, in so many words, to re-wound you in the exact same ways that you were wounded in childhood around unfinished business, so that you can finish what's been unfinished from your childhood. So that's why when couples come in, they can't solve the problem. The problem isn't current. It's not what you're talking about. It's a historic problem that's now contaminating your present.
It's so interesting. And so, is there something that you think therapists misunderstand about Imago when they first start working with it or encounter it?
I think it's too psychodynamic, that everything shouldn't be about your childhood. And I agree. I don't do an orthodox imago really, but I do believe that you have to have a history. You have to understand somebody's genogram, whether you're doing a formal one or not, because I feel like I'm working in the dark. And I think a lot of therapists also don't understand that there's a series of really good communication exercises, and they think that it's too contrived and too mechanical, but it has to be when a couple comes in with high conflict.
Become an in-demand sexual health professional. Gain expert education and become a SHA certified therapist, coach, counselor, or educator. Hit the subscribe button to learn more.
And so, when doing Imago, do you need to have the couple together in your office, or can you do it like individually?
It's better in the office, but I can also do it individually and ask them to take home the tools if the partner at home is willing to participate in some way. But that's not always easy to get them to do.
And so, what tends to be the hardest part of Imago dialogue for couples and for the therapist facilitating it?
The hardest part for couples is mirroring back something you don't agree with, because everybody wants, wait, I didn't say that. No, that's not what happened. No, it was Tuesday. No. So when you do that, we say you broke your mirror. You're mirroring your partner. Now the mirror's broken. And now you've hijacked this to make it about you and whatever is, even if it's real, it doesn't matter. Your partner has whatever narrative going on, and they need to go from start to finish to figure out what came up for them. So it's important for you to allow them to go in the wrong direction. So if your partner says the moon is made of cream cheese, your job is one thing: to repeat what I hear you saying is the moon is made of cream cheese. Did I get it? Is there more? And sometimes partners, they get too flooded by it.
Now, what tends to be the hardest part of the Imago dialogue for couples?
Yeah, another hard part would be that validating your partner's experience, saying, it makes sense to me that you think the moon is made of cream cheese, and to really realize that you're not agreeing with them. You're just saying, from your point of view, if I take my glasses off and put yours on and see the world, I can see how you see this. Hardest thing for people to do.
Do you ever realize that Imago is not the right fit for a couple?
Yeah, some people don't like the mechanics. They don't like the parroting. They don't feel like they fit into the paradigm of my history has informed my presence. So I just go with that then. I say, okay, I'm going to keep inserting it maybe, but it might be helpful. But if it's not, that's okay too. Let's just get you guys trying to figure this out.
Right. I love that because it's working with what the client needs at the time. Like, you can't
Yeah.
go in with like your own agenda. Like, you have to just adapt to what they need.
I never used to be that way. As a younger therapist, I would get the clients to adapt to the way I did it and not really honor the fact that and get flexible with them.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of times, when you're first learning to be a therapist, like, they give you these frameworks and you feel like you have to use them, and like you have to use them on everybody. And, it can be a challenge to kind of develop your own style and really listen to what the client needs.
And trust yourself in inserting what you know is best sitting in front of these people.
Now, I want to talk about Imago and sexuality. So, how does Imago help couples who are struggling with desire discrepancies or sexual disconnection?
The theory is Imago helps you differentiate, right? So couples usually come in very symbiotic. You and I are one, and I'm the one. You and I are one, and you're the one. Like, differences are threatening. When you can tolerate differences and tolerate the tension, and not saying to your partner, what makes you right or makes me wrong, what makes me you good, makes me bad, and really sit with that tension, it can spark some passion, because that's really what passion comes from, is the mystery and and the differences and how do we get here and the curiosity with each other. And it's not enough. There is more to it. That's the start of it, I would say.
And how do you integrate discussions of sexual desire, kink, or sexual identity within an IMAGO framework?
Imago depends a lot on sentence stems. So we'll say, things like just in general. So here's my frustration. What hurts me about this is and then they'll complete that. What I'm afraid of about this is they'll, complete that. And then I give them sentence stems. What is most shameful to me about my interest with you is, what I'm most afraid of around, asking for my sexual need is things like that.
And having that like dialogue structure and examples, I think is so helpful for people because sometimes you just don't know how to say it or you feel like you're going to say it the wrong way.
And they need prompters, and me, the therapist, giving them prompters gives permission in the room, because otherwise the client might say to their partner, well, where did you get that idea from? And how come, are you cheating on me? Did you watch something that, and then when it comes to the therapist, it's clear it's coming from me.
All right, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about trauma healing and EMDR. So for anyone who doesn't really know what EMDR is, could you briefly explain that?
EMDR is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And basically, over 40 years ago, a scientist found that when we go to sleep and we go into REM sleep, our eyes rapidly move back and forth. Rapid eye movement is what REM sleep is. And so that's why when you say to somebody, or you say to yourself, I'm just going to sleep on it, it's because during your REM sleep, you're sorting things through. And in the morning, you may have a completely different perspective. Well, the scientists found you can activate that in your waking state. You don't have to be in an altered state by just getting eyes moving back and forth. So my clients sit there with a machine or my fingers or a pen, and their eyes go back and forth for 30 seconds, and they target very difficult memories, very painful memories on a scale from 0, it doesn't bother me or disturb me at all, to a scale of 10, it would be a 10 for them. And we drop it down to 0 by doing EMDR.
So do you ever use EMDR and IMAGO together?
I do. I mean, they might be doing IMAGO, and then I might say to a client, your trauma is interfering with the work we're doing. Maybe we need to do some EMDR on the side, or have you go to somebody. I often will do the work. Sometimes I will do it in front of a partner. This is one of the things they tell you not to do. I don't know what it is today, but in the training, they say don't do it in front of people. I sometimes do. I base it on the maturity and the level of ability of the couples to tolerate that. Yeah, so I do use them together.
And then how do you know when to use EMDR with a patient?
Oh, I mostly know it when I can see the trauma is interfering and everything that is being said by a partner is feeling attacked or criticized, and it's so clear it's coming from their past. The theme will be the same. Your wound that you're describing sounds exactly like what happened to you in childhood. Some partners don't want to go there. They're like, no, because they feel like they're letting their partner off the hook. And I'll say, this isn't letting them off the hook. They still are accountable for what they said and what they did, but let's get your reactivity lowered. And I never know if it's going to work or not. You try it, and for most it does, and for others it's like, nope, this isn't helping me.
Now, is there something that therapists often get wrong when working with trauma in couples?
Yes, deciding that something is trauma when it's not. So maybe it's a kink and somebody likes impact play or likes power exchange. I just had a couple come through. Don't want to be too specific, but she believed, this wasn't the therapist, it was the actual partner. She believed her husband had an issue because he was always buying stuff for himself. They weren't dating. They had a lot of money. He was very organized. He wasn't, but the partner felt that way. And I could see how a therapist might get on that and say, well, that's not healthy. Well, wait a minute. Who decides that? What does health look like? To this guy, he was fine. And he was. So I think sometimes therapists misdiagnose trauma or not misconceived trauma.
All right. Now, if you could leave a message for the next generation about sexual health, what would your message be to those Gen Zs and Gen Alphas out there?
You don't know everything. Allow yourself to know that you know what you know, but be willing to keep learning and go and challenge the things you think you were so hard pressed that this is the way it is. Because the younger generation believes they know everything and they're so solid in it. And I think that's a mistake.
Before we go, I want to talk about your experience as a presenter with Sexual Health Alliance.
I have to be honest, one of the best. You're warm, you're inviting, you're friendly, you work with me. If something happens that, not going correctly, you're right there to help me. And I feel really held when I do a presentation with Shaw.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Dr. Joe Kort.
Thank you, Michelle. It's great being here.
Thanks. All right. Bye, everyone.